Hello guys, welcome back. I know the people who've been with the channel are like, oh shit, what's wrong now? Nothing. I kind of sort of had to swing the band hammer. I kind of didn't want to in this case, but I'm like, I got two of the three red flags that I need, so I swung the band hammer. I don't give you guys private consultations. Anybody that's been with the channel knows I am not here to figure out anybody's life's problems. And Loki let me figure that shit out the hard way. He's like, you are not a psychiatrist. You are not a therapist. You are not a channeler for the gods. Knock that shit off. And until I learned that fucking lesson, he made sure the very worst people in the world came to me with their problems, and I'm like, nope, not anymore. I'm sorry. If you have problems, there are people that consider themselves temples. You can go to those. And I'm not trying to be heartless. It's just not one of my skills, and it's not one of the things that God's portioned to me. If you feel you have certain problems you need to talk to with clergy, there are ordained clergy of Wiccan or heathen or whatever flavor you want to talk to out there. I am ordained in absolutely nothing. I cannot tell you the God's private thoughts on absolutely anything because it's going to vary completely from person to person. I cannot tell you what the gods think of the latest guru. And, that was one of the questions a person asked, and I'm like, oh dear. Oh dear. The only thing I can tell you personally is that if you are starting to have doubts, that's your common sense speaking to you. So if you are ever doing anything and you're going along and all of a sudden it's not making sense, it's not going to harm you to stop for a while to sort out your feelings and then to maybe go back to it. If you keep hitting that same spot and it keeps not making sense and you're going, this isn't right, this isn't how the world works, that's your common sense speaking to you, and it will come out whenever you find something too good to be true. It usually is. I hate to say it, but there are a lot of people that make quite a comfy lifestyle telling people exactly what they want to hear. We used to call them yes men, now we call them gurus. And they'll tell you how to manifest $12 billion in your own island and all the love puppets you want to have in your life. They don't have any of these things, but I guess they just don't want them. Yeah, they will teach you how to not die. There are a lot of flavors of these people. If you totally, wholeheartedly believe in that, go for it, man. But it's not happening on this channel. On this channel, we are born, we live, we die. It's until Jesus Christ comes back in the second coming and takes all the good people and leaves the rest of us here to run YouTube. you know, that's the normal thing. We're a pagan people. We believe in the natural cycles of the earth. Whether you believe in reincarnation is a separate thing entirely. So I just kind of had to do that as a reminder. I mean, most of you old timers know I don't dispense personal advice. I found out the gods were like, okay, you think you're such a gifted healer and you think you can intervene in all this big shit that's going on in people's lives? Here, cheers. Figure this shit out. And only once I went through that horrible experience enough times and finally had the courage to say enough. I can't do this. I'm not suited to this. I'm nobody's therapist. I am nobody's father confessor. That's when the universe was like, you learn one thing you're not good at, and put those people away. They will still pop up from time to time, but that's something everybody on the internet finds. Everybody on the internet ever, you found those people who think you are the answer to their prayers, and they're basically going to come hand you their stuff, and they think that will keep them from dealing with it. No, it's like they just made a Xerox of their stuff, handed you a copy, and they still have the original. They aren't, the train's not pulling into the station. They have not given you their problems. They think they have. They think they've given you their problems to solve, but they really haven't, because it's usually stuff 100 times out of 100 is stuff they have to work on themselves, and that sucks, right? And for communication with the gods, it comes in time. I wasn't born some kind of gifted person hearing the gods, and like I said, we don't rightly know if it's our brains translating messages or what it is, but we get this big communication with them. And my brain works in words more so than pictures, so if I can get a god that can either speak in pictures or you know what I mean. It makes sense to me. That's how my brain works. It sounds like language, but it could be, I don't know, it could be pictures and my brain's like, nope, she don't think that way. You better pick something else. So, it will come in time. There's this practice of, and it's what I use to reawaken. And I've like told everybody about this, and it sounds like work. So a lot of people run away. Imagine every night, whatever god or goddess or Loa or spirit or angel or saint you want to talk to, and imagine telling them your problems. You can close your eyes, do this right in bed, you're not going anywhere. Imagine walking with them and talking with them and telling them your problems and just, imagine their response. And yes, this is imagination at first. Eventually, it's going to open the lines to communication. That doesn't mean the communication isn't really real or really happening. It just means imagination unlocks the door. It's why we kind of let kids live in fantasy world up to a certain age, and then all of a sudden it's like we can't get it out of them fast enough. That's why, because we don't want a group of mainstream does not want a group of children going around still seeing fairies and dragons and gods and all this other stuff. That would not do. We don't live in that kind of culture. It'd be cool if we did, but it doesn't do. So, I just kind of wanted to recover the basics with you guys. And it's kind of funny because I've been binging on Mr. Rogers. And I've been really binging on Mr. Rogers lately as I'm reintegrating the household. And I'm getting everything put together. And it's funny because we're polar opposites, and you guys know that. He's Christian, I'm pagan. He's vegetarian. If it's smaller and slower than me, I will probably eat it and probably have. I think I recently ate a bug in a sandwich. That was gross. you know, um, he always, he had anger, but he handled it very well. Not so much. Every opposite we could be, we are. He believed in this nice, calm, gentle world that's safe for children. I'm not suitable for children. And the list goes on and on. And yet, he was a decent human being. And there are these two clips. There's this one of him singing with this young boy that's, confined to a wheelchair. And he was one of the first adults to do this. And this was not a YouTube channel, guys. This was, PBS, and he refused to do, ad tie-ins. There were no Mr. Rogers cereal or action figures or anything. If there are now, they're not official because he would have never in any way approved of that. He didn't want to turn little children into tiny consumers. And, he dealt with all these serious subjects like divorce and death and assassination and all this stuff. And he would tell children, that he loved them. And, so for a lot of us, that was the only positive adult we had in our life. And he didn't realize until, much later on that he was having that much impact. And it's been one of those nourishing things to have around, which it really doesn't apply to my situation at all. But as I'm going through, and I'm realizing that a lot of the problems I've had, in relationships with the gods have never been the gods themselves. It's been people's hatred towards the gods. Like, if you're running a channel that people think should be Norse, there are people that have hatred towards Greek or Roman gods, and they'll come on periodically and they'll start shit. If you start talking about the Greek gods, there are people that will feel free to mouth off about the Norse gods and so on and so on. I do my very damn level best not to let people drag their hatred and prejudice onto the channel, because I'm not going to tolerate that shit. And I hear, woo, back here, preach it. And we live in this such a terribly divided world. We don't have to divide, especially as pagans, when there's so few of us that are, trying to do this pagan thing day to day and not whatever. We're not being hipsters. We're not trying to be cool. We're not doing it because we're rebelling against mom and dad. We're actually here trying to walk the walk. It's, in the end, you realize you have to serve the gods. You can't serve people. And Christians are out there like, I thought we were supposed to serve people. I mean, in the sense that you have to keep your god or gods happy. You have to serve them. you can't serve people that have a problem with you serving a god that's maybe a different culture than you, or a different color than you, or they don't think you can serve that god. That's frankly, that's none of their business. I don't care who you serve. And you have to kind of try to remember that because there are going to be people, especially online, that, are going to think they have a right to tell you how to live your spiritual life. And I will tell you this story, might as well. Saturday, I was watching some stuff to get ready for some videos I was trying to do for, I think it was for Sunday. And, I was researching, I was going to do the Baron first. And I just stumbled across this thing. I really did. And it was the Baron in possession, and he was just yelling at this guy. And the guy had it coming. And I just burst into tears and I started wailing like I'd lost my soul. And Odin had just been looking at me, and I said, "You don't understand. That's my family. He used to yell at me like that." And it's humorous now, but I was just breaking down because the Baron, might want different things from different people, but the attitude doesn't change. You know that lecture, that screaming at the top of his lungs at you and telling you how things are going to be, and just so it was, I said, I miss him so much. You don't understand. That's my family. And Odin's looking at me and says, "Well, what have I taught you?" "I don't know." And basically, Odin was the one to give me the shove and say, "Well, if you want your family, you're going to have to fight for your family. And the first person you're going to have to fight is yourself, because every time someone gives you static, you run away." Because Odin, how gentle and, very calm and easy to take life he makes things. And he was right. There are always going to be people that are going to look at me and go, "Well, you can't serve all these gods together." As long as they're getting along and they're happy and they say that they're fine with things, yeah, you can. You don't just lump them all together. I know there are some people that see maybe somebody has an altar and there's like 20 different, deities from all over the world on it. I'm guessing the deities agreed to that, or their life wouldn't be worth living. You know how the gods are. Um, And it's just one of those things that, people really don't have a business to tell other people how to do stuff. At one time, I could have told you Wicca 101. I could have told you how to set up an altar. I could have told you these are the do's and the don'ts. And anymore, I'm like, there's what works and there's what doesn't. Some people are always going to be able to do everything absolutely opposite of the way everybody else does it, and it's going to work beautifully for them. And then if they would find a book of how you're supposed to do things the right way and try it, it would just destroy their relationship with the gods. I'm like, I don't actually care what you do. If it works for you and you're not hurting yourself and not hurting anyone else, more power to you. Because, you don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to hurt other people. Our religion is not about that. So it's just a thing now where we're putting final touches on things. And I think I've gone on long enough, but I kind of wanted to address that, guys. I don't hand out personal favors anymore. Even my patrons, they know I love them and I'll certainly talk to them. But, I've had too many people take advantage over the years, and I'm like, no, I know trouble when I smell it. Like, the saying about you smell like trauma and a headache, get away from me? Yeah, I know trouble when I see it, because these are always the super nice people and they just have one thing to ask you. And then all of a sudden they're attached to you and they just want to pump you for information. There are people that are willing to be your guru if you have the money, consult them. And if it is a true spiritual issue, there is ordained pagan clergy that you can go to. And you can always go directly to the gods. They're there 24/7, 365 days a year. I got, shut up. No, I'm not. I'm busy. Yeah, he is. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.